Atkins, SB 179.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chairman. This is SB 179, Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you so much, and please forgive me. I was here and got called back to vote. I so apologize. So thank you, Chair and members. I'm here to present SB 179. It's the Gender Recognition Act. This bill will enable more transgender, intersex, non-binary Californians to obtain state-issued identity documents that accurately reflect their gender. Showing our identification is part of our daily lives. When we use our credit cards, go through airport security, and apply for a job, and that's just a few examples. For someone who has an identification that states a gender that doesn't match their gender presentation, things can get difficult. Everything from a delay in completing what should be a mundane task to outright harassment. Current law is outdated. It creates onerous and unnecessary barriers for Californians who wish to apply to state agencies and to courts for a change in gender. SB 179 removes those barriers. And while this bill is before transportation, it is mostly because of the state identification piece and the DMV, but the bill specifically creates a third non-binary gender marker for state-issued identity documents. It removes the requirement of physician attestation, replaces it with self-attestation. It removes the requirement that a person seeking a gender change or name change court order appear in court except in the rare instance where someone files objections to their petition. And finally, it creates a process by which minors can apply for a change in gender on their birth certificate with parental involvement and approval. It will improve the lives of transgender, intersex, and non-binary Californians, and it will keep California at the forefront of LGBTQ civil rights. I would ask your aye vote, and Mr. Chairman, with your permission, I would like to turn it over to my co-author, Senator Scott Wiener.
Senator, please proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I want to thank Senator Atkins for her leadership on this bill and for her many years of leadership on LGBT civil rights. Before I was even in elected office, I remember reading about Senator Atkins' work in the newspaper, so I want to thank her publicly for her work and continued leadership. This bill is actually quite simple. It basically says that the government should get out of the way and let people be who they are, instead of the government dictating to people who they are. It allows people to live their authentic lives without a government barrier stopping them from doing so. If someone does not identify as either male or female, we should allow that person to identify as who they are, non-binary, on government documents. If a person is assigned a particular gender at birth, but that person does not identify with that gender, government should get out of the way and let that person live their authentic lives and identify as the gender that they actually are. That's really all this bill is about. It's actually quite simple, and I ask for your support.
Thank you. Next witness, please state your name and who you represent, please.
Hello, members of the Assembly. My name is Dee Shull. I am with the Intersex and Genderqueer Recognition Project. 6 years ago, I found a word that changed everything for me: gender fluid. Briefly defined, this means that my gender shifts over time. The word explained so much about the previous 30 years of uncertainty and just not fitting in. I am non-binary. I am not male or female. My gender identity is a central piece of who I am. And today, our state does not have the ability to acknowledge this. And it's not just me. There are other non-binary people in our state who encounter the same difficulties. They cannot get a driver's license that correctly identifies their gender. They cannot get their court documentation changed without struggling to find a trans-friendly doctor who can write like a lawyer. This affects intersex people as well, people who may have ambiguous genitalia or variations in chromosomes or hormones that do not align with society's assumptions about what is male or female. Sarah Kelly Keenan, an intersex activist who works with me in IGRP, had to navigate a judicial obstacle course to be recognized as intersex, even though intersex people are as common as redheads. Even though this seems like new and uncharted territory, throughout human history, cultures across the world have recognized intersex and non-binary people. Achieving this recognition is especially critical now. We are assaulted, imprisoned, and murdered, and those who do this feel empowered by the current political climate. We are unemployed, and we are underemployed. 41% of us attempt suicide. This happens because we do not have legal documentation and legal recognition, which SB 179 provides. This happens because we cannot get our documents changed without doctor participation, which SB 179 fixes. Please support SB 179. Thank you.
Next witness, please state your name and who you represent, please.
Jonathan Clay, Mr. Chair, committee members, here not in my usual role in representing a client. Sorry. Always have trouble getting through the first part of this. But as parents of a young non-binary transgender child, as parents of a young non-binary transgender child, SB 179 will provide us as parents a better avenue for securing the needed documents for our child. What's this mean? It means going through security. We've experienced many times now flying with our child that does not present as the young girl that the ID calls for in terms of a girl's name and a girl's identity. That always opens us up to all sorts of questions going through security and other places. In the 8 months that we've been navigating this process, we've had 2 doctors decide for unrelated visits to express their thoughts and opinions on this matter, which is very difficult for my wife and I because it puts us in a role where we are now having conversations with people, whether it's in security, doctors, other folks, having this conversation in a venue that we don't control. And unfortunately, it typically happens in front of our child, which is also very difficult because that identity is very important to them. And when they've made that decision to make that change, it's a core part of their belief and who they are. We've been asked many times, is this a phase for our child? And the answer is no. I mean, since a very early age, it's now looking back been pretty apparent that this was where the path our child was taking. SB 179 gives us the avenue for being able to better navigate this as parents, not having to go through a doctor's process for some sort of active treatment. And what that active treatment would be for a 7-year-old, I mean, we're not at that point yet. And, being able to have the ability to simply do an affidavit, petition the court, not actually have to have an in-court appearance, and again, open ourselves up because it's very tough because as a parent, you're always questioning your own role as parents. Have we done something that could make someone think that they should call Child Protective Services? Is someone passing judgment that this is some sort of choice that we as parents have made? And so as we navigate this process, having an ability to engage with folks on this conversation in a venue in a manner that we as parents feel is appropriate, we greatly appreciate. So for those reasons, we ask for your support of SB 179.
Understood. Next witness, please state your name and who you're representing, please.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair and members. Joe Michael for Equality California. We are proud to co-sponsor this bill along with Transgender Law Center, who I believe was not able to send a representative today, but who is a co-sponsor of the bill. I want to quickly state that I identify as non-binary myself, and this bill is therefore important to me both personally and in my professional role as well. We respectfully urge the committee's support today. Thank you.
Thank you. Senator, do you have any other people at the dais? Okay, thank you. Members of the public that would like to speak in support of the author's bill, please state your name and who you represent.
Maya Ingram, the ACLU of California, in support. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Matt Robinson on behalf of Los Angeles Mayor Eric Garcetti in strong support.
Alicia Lewis on behalf of California Latinos for Reproductive Justice in support.
Shannon Smith Crowley on behalf of the American Congress of Obstetricians and Gynecologists. In support, we appreciate physicians being taken out of the process, and it would have been a lot easier for my transgender son to be able to have this bill in place. Thank you.
Elizabeth Wells on behalf of Planned Parenthood Affiliates of California supports this bill. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Elizabeth Espinosa on behalf of the County Welfare Directors Association in support.
Michael Radigan on behalf of the Board of Supervisors, Santa Clara County, in support.
Anu Blitt with California Pan-Ethnic Health Network in support.
Jennifer Harms, National Association of Social Work, California Chapter, in support.
Nikki Clay on behalf of myself and Ben Clay and the parents of Jonathan Clay and Cyrus Clay, here to support.
Toby Adams, Executive Director of the Intersex and Genderqueer Recognition Project and the wife of a non-binary person, in support.
Hello, my name is Michael Kayla Argain. I'm from Clovis, California, and I'm here with the IGRP, and I strongly support Senate Bill 179. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Will Hayworth. I'm a non-binary person living in San Francisco. As an adoptive Californian, I ask for your support and thank you for hearing us out.
Jack Kazmarek from Oakland, California, non-binary California, and I ask for your support.
Hi, Eric Goods. I'm a commissioner with the City of Davis Bicycle and Transportation and Street Safety Commission, and I'm here on behalf of myself as a private citizen, as well as representing the Intersex and Genderqueer Recognition Project. I identify as genderqueer and gender non-binary, and I strongly support this bill. Thank you.
Jim Lindberg on behalf of the Friends Committee on Legislation of California, a Quaker-based lobby. We're in support.
Hi, Alejandro Santana Jr. with the Diversity Center of Santa Cruz County, and I strongly and enthusiastically support SB 179.
Hi, my name's Jamie Joy. I'm also from the Diversity Center, Santa Cruz County. I'm a gender fluid, non-binary person, and I ask for your support in Senate Bill 179. Thank you.
Buenas tardes, my name is Cilantro Flores. I'm from Oakland, and I am here representing just my community, and I ask for your support in SB 179. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Max Malloy, and I'm from Santa Cruz County. I am in support of this bill. I'm also a non-binary person. Thank you.
Sparrow Frost, representing the Diversity Center of Santa Cruz, California. Patiently waiting for this bill to change so I can change my gender marker, which still reads female. Thank you.
Michael Peterson, LGBT ally, speaking in support.
Stuart Rosenstein from the Queer Youth Task Force of Santa Cruz County and also with IGPR, and I strongly support SB 179. Thank you.
AJ Dwyer, I am non-binary and I'm in support.
Brian Williams, representing YOLO Rainbow Families, asking for your support on behalf of our children.
Sarah Williams, support for YOLO Rainbow Families and our kids.
Hi, I'm Joy Hagan. I teach at UC Santa Cruz, and I am also mother of Star Hagan Esquera, the first court-designated non-binary minor in California. Star and my UC students want to move into their adulthoods with California documents that tell the truth about their genders, including a non-binary gender option. We support SB 179. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Jack Caden. I'm here with the Intersex and Genderqueer Recognition Project. I'm a non-binary person who's hopefully going to have my gender changed to non-binary in the court soon, and I strongly urge your support for this bill. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Alon Altman, a non-binary person. I am in Santa Clara County in the process of becoming a naturalized citizen, and I'm in support of this bill on behalf of myself and on behalf of my non-binary partner. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Laura Nogales. I'm here on behalf of the Intersex and Genderqueer Recognition Project, and also in support of my non-binary partner, in support of this bill.
Hi, my name is Jean Adams. I'm with the Intersex and Genderqueer Recognition Project. I'm a non-binary person, and I support this bill.
Plymouth Ensbergs from San Bruno, California, genderqueer person, here also with the Intersection Genderqueer Recognition Project in support of this bill. It is amazing to me how many places I have to enter a wrong gender all throughout my life, and I've been waiting for this for a long time.
My name is Richard Cook. I'm an educator from Vacaville, California, and I support SB 179 for the LGBT community and those students I see that struggle every day with this issue.
My name is Carly Mitchell. I'm with the Intersex and Genderqueer Recognition Project, and I support this bill. Thank you.
My name is Heather Lauder Clay. I'm the parent of Cyrus Clay, 7 years old, and we're from Yolo County. And I'm also representing Yolo Rainbow Families. Thank you.
My name is Sarah Kelly Keenan, and I'm the first person to go to court in California and draw in the boxes that should be there. I went to a doctor. I wrote the letter for the doctor. It's a matter of public record. I described in great detail my genitals, my reproductive anatomy, the fact that I was born intersex, born genetically between male and female. It's a matter of public record. People come to my door. I've exposed myself, and yet I had to renew my driver's license last week with a bogus descriptor on it for gender. Please change this. This is the right thing to do. This is the first intersex birth certificate in U.S. history that New York issued 6 months ago, correcting their error 56 years ago. It's a piece of paper that accurately describes me. It isn't tearing down Western civilization, and it isn't destroying the American family, and it isn't infringing on anyone's religious rights. It's an accurate legal document. Please make California's legal documents accurate. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other members of the public that would like to testify in support of the author's bill? Seeing none, any members of the public that would like to testify in opposition or share concerns with the author's bill? So what we'll do is please state your name and who you represent, please.
Yes, Mr. Chair, members, my name is Randy Thomason. I'm president of Campaign for Children and Families, which has been serving California families since 1999. If you support law and order, and if you oppose identity fraud, you should not support this bill, because allowing unverified identities to be subjectively altered without limitation is a fraudster's dream. Current law on gender changes requires 3 standards for verification. First, evidence of clinically appropriate treatment for the purpose of gender transition. Second, verification from a licensed physician. Third, court approval. And despite what supporters have said, this is a very easy process. A doctor, and there are many LGBT-friendly doctors in this state, all they have to do is copy from the code a little statement for them to write, print, and sign their name. It gets taken to court. It happens all the time. Second, a child under 16 doesn't even qualify for a driver's license, so this doesn't apply to any complaints about that. What does SB 179 do? It eliminates the verification requirements. It eliminates the fact of gender change clinically, and instead says people can alter their birth certificates by merely paying only $11 and filing a simple form that subjectively claims that they're male, female, or non-binary. 0 verification is required. Now, current law requires a verified gender change petition be filed with the county court where the petitioner resides for the verification of the court. Now, this bill is disrespectful to the courts because it's saying, well, you're the judge, but you have no power. You don't get to analyze anything. But SB 179 permits any adult to demand that their gender be changed in any of California's 58 counties and requires that, quote, the petitioner's affidavit shall be accepted as conclusive proof of gender change and that, quote, the court shall grant the petition without a hearing. This easy in, easy out gender change and elimination of all current verification requirements opens the door to identity fraud. Identity fraud last year was costing $16 billion nationwide. We ought not to go this direction. Now imagine how criminals can exploit this. John Jones could easily change his birth certificate to female or non-binary with the new name Emily Eaton. But she doesn't change his driver's license. So he can have future arrests avoided or criminal charges thrown out because his was a mistaken identity arrest. If people can subjectively and repeatedly change their identities anytime, anywhere, you have just opened up Pandora's box. What's more, if one's sex can be officially changed by simply and even repeatedly filing an $11 form with the state, it's going to be a lot harder to accurately identify the accused in open court. Proper verification always involves a third party. Yet SB 179 magically transforms a subjective, unsubstantiated claim into, quote, conclusive proof in the eyes of the law. Mr. Chairman, you had a good bill in 2014, AB 935. It went in the right direction by allowing veterans to prove their military service on their driver's license by first achieving and receiving verification from a county veterans service officer. Verification is essential since there are numerous people, including political candidates, who have fraudulently claimed military service. Similarly, this year, this very House passed AB 638 in an attempt to combat immigration fraud by legally requiring definition, confirmation, and verification of the true legal status of immigration consultants. Again, proper verification always involves a third party. In conclusion, the current system works. People are not denied access. It's not a problem. But this bill, 179, should be opposed because it would increase identity fraud by making it harder for financial institutions, police, and courts to determine that you really are who you say you are.
Thank you. Next witness, please state your name, who you represent in your opposition.
Chair and members, my name is Greg Burt, and I work for the California Family Council. I'm here on behalf of tens and thousands of Californians, allied organizations, and about 2,000 churches across the state. I do work for a faith-based organization, but I don't come here today using any religious text as the authority behind my opposition. I come here today arguing against SB 179 using the authority of a book I dare say has almost universal acceptance. It's used in every public and private school, college, and university, and I bet you all have a copy of it in your offices. The book is a dictionary. The American culture uses this book to teach generations the meaning of words. And now, as culture changes, words do change their meaning, and the dictionaries adapt to those changes. Now, SB 179 is a bold and radical proposal because it seeks to change the meaning of words each of us use to define ourselves. The bill proposes to change the meaning of the words male and female and create a brand new legal gender, non-binary, which will be equal to the other two. This bill throws out the old definition of gender based on biology and replaces it with a new definition that says gender is a description of a feeling or a description of how one self-identifies. Now, members, here's the choice you need to decide. Is California or your constituents ready to accept this new gender definition? I think the answer is no. And so how can I be so sure? The dictionary tells me so. I brought a copy of the American Heritage College Dictionary right here with me to use as my authority. On page 502, it lists the definition of a female. And here it is. Of, relating to, or being the sex that produces ova or bears young, a woman or a girl. And the list of definitions go on, But what you don't see in this list of definitions is a description of a female as a person that feels like a female or simply a person who identifies as a female. Since the dictionary has not been changed to accommodate this new gender definition, that should be an indication your constituents still believe that gender is based on biology. Consequently, state documents should reflect this fact on driver's license and birth certificates. Do you really want to be the politician that forces a new definition of gender on your constituents? Don't you think you should try and persuade them first? California is not ready for this new definition of gender. The authors of this bill and the co-authors and the sponsors have jumped the gun. They are frustrated that people are not changing their minds quick enough about their particular version of gender definitions. And so they are going to use the power of government to force this new definition on everyone. This is going to backfire. People don't like to be forced to change their minds about anything, especially by politicians. For individuals who are truly intersex, that is, born with genetics, anatomy, or other physical characteristics that are neither male nor female, there should be accommodation regarding their situation. However, this must be based only on physical evidence and not mere personal feelings or self-identification. Now, there are plenty of other reasons to oppose this bill. I'll list them quickly. The federal government currently has California licenses on a probationary status under the Real ID Act. This change is not going to help. Title IX is going to require non-binary students to get the same accommodations as male and female students. Think of all the costs to our schools and universities. This bill will let parents legally change the gender of their toddlers. Shouldn't we wait until children are old enough to make such a monumental decision instead of making it for them, parents making it for them? Once you give, this is the last one, once you give people the option of a new gender based on feelings, how are you going to deny other personalized genders, there are over 50 of them, from getting their own gender recognition on the driver's license or a birth certificate? Every personal gender is going to demand equal treatment. And for all these reasons, the California Family Council respectfully asks you to oppose SB 179.
Any members of the committee that would like to ask questions of the author? Mr. Harper.
Thank you very much. If you can help me to kind of understand the intention of what the law is it, especially after listening to the question, is it to try to establish legally a third gender? Is it to kind of serve as a declined estate, if you will? Or is it kind of a way to be a catch-all, male A, female B, and this would step in as like a C through Z? If you can kind of help me understand the intention.
It does create a third marker. We are basically trying to be more reflective of who people are. And, other countries have done this, so it would serve as a third marker, and pretty much individuals would select, other than male or female, they would have that third option. I don't know if Joe Michael is here. Do you want to add to that?
Sure. Thank you, Senator. So the idea of this is to create a marker that would capture anything other than male or female. That is the whole purpose of creating this, and that would be to accurately identify anyone who does not accurately identify as male or female. The whole purpose is to make sure that everyone can have accurate ID here in California.
Yeah, because just along those lines, because I know that, whether it's a census, all of us read today about an article about Christina Garcia sending out a questionnaire about lobbyists' race, ethnicity, gender, sexuality, etc. And I know people have a lot of different purposes of why to conduct these surveys and what are their intentions here. But for the purposes that we have here, it's about the driver's license as an identity card. And one of the questions that kind of gets to the heart of this, maybe why include this in the identity card altogether? You know, when I look at my own driver's license, there's not a question of race. There's not a question of ethnicity. So I think it's probably important to level why would we have this question? Because an identity card isn't a way to be able to shout out my identity to the world or what I stand for or what's my philosophy or what's my religion. It's just simply a way to be able to have an identity in the cases for the purpose of this committee to determine whether the person is licensed to drive or not. And of course it gets used in a commercial basis, etc. So maybe the question has to be said, why even have gender or sex on an ID card or on a driver's license specifically?
Well, I think that was determined before we got to the third gender marker by having 2 gender markers. And I mean, we could easily go to the other route. We are trying to do something that gives people the ability to have their ID, which we use. I can't give you the history of when we decided to use the California driver's license as a form of major identification, either for driving purposes or for ID purposes. But this is something that would allow us to give the third marker, which would give recognition, but also give whoever's looking at it a clue that this is not typically male or female. There is a third marker, which gives you, as someone who's looking at that identification, some information about the individual that's trying to get services or respond to a request from someone that uses it, whether for credit or security, etc. We could go the other route, but we really would then be further out of compliance with what other countries and states are doing. Other countries have a third gender marker. Oregon has now moved forward through their Department of Motor Vehicles. Washington, D.C. is. We are trying to fit within a mold of where society moves in a way that gets the job done. And this would serve that purpose on recognition, but also validation for the individuals that are confronted with this every day.
Thank you, Senator. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Aguilar-Curry, please.
Thank you, Senator, for bringing this forward. I truly appreciate it for more than one reason that I don't really want to share here as well. But I will say is I thought of it just right when you're talking there, Assemblymember Harper. In emergency services, and if someone were to come upon an automobile accident or something along that, to be able to look at someone's identification and know that they're special, they need maybe special handling, that would be really important to me as a family member. So thank you for bringing that forward, and I would like to be a co-author of your bill.
Thank you. Absolutely.
Mr. Medina.
Also want to express my appreciation to the authors, the witnesses, both here at the dais and at the microphone. As a father, brother, high school teacher, I agree with this bill. And I disagree with some of the witnesses in opposition. I think identity is who we say we are, is our identity. I brought forward a bill very simply to put an accent mark. And I agree with the sentiments of everyone who's spoken, that it should be the individual, not the state, who says who we are. So I am very happy to be in support and would also ask to be added as a co-author.
Assemblymember Friedman, please.
Yes, I want to thank the authors of the bill, and I also just wanted to say what a joy it was and is to see so many beautiful human beings here today to advocate for civil rights in California, which is really what this is. And I would also like to be added, if I'm not already, as a co-author on the bill. I also have to say that I felt like the opponents were really kind of struggling and reaching for reasons to convince us not to support this. I don't really see those reasons at all. I think that this is a very simple and important thing that we're doing here today, and I'm really very proud to be a part of it, so thanks.
Thank you for that. Any other questions to the committee? Seeing none. Senator, would you like to close?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I want to thank the comments from everyone here today. the world changes and moves on, and this has really been a journey for me. I am a member of the LGBTQ community, and yet this has been a journey for me. And frankly, it was the younger generations and the millennials, regardless of how they define themselves, that helped me understand that I was actually behind. And in the work that I have done on birth certificates and death certificates, this came forward as something that we should address. And as I said earlier, we are not ahead of the curve on this. Other countries are ahead of us, other states. Because this should be an educational moment, and I know you've given me a lot of time, I just want to say, we know that the world changes and cultures change and evolve. If you look up dictionary.com, you see non-binary says it's in the dictionary. Noting or relating to a person with a gender identity or sexual orientation that does not fit into the male-female, heterosexual, homosexual divisions. Look at me. I know you think my hair is red. It was less red 3 days ago. But I promise you that it was when I was 8 years old. A license is already subjective in terms of our eye color, our hair color, and yes, I probably lied about my weight. Don't report me. Gender is no different for those who experience it and who we are. I would only lastly say about medical access. Those of you that represent rural communities, and even some coastal communities, the access to physicians that have the ability to help is few and far between. Some communities do this well and others don't, and it is incumbent upon the individual to actually help educate the doctor to seek and learn. You've heard from parents today, parents who never envisioned when they had their child that this was the journey that they would be on. And yet they are on it and they are embracing it. And I couldn't be prouder to have met so many individuals that have had to really confront this in their own lives in ways that we could never imagine. So I do think this is an important piece of legislation. I thank you for the courtesy of your time and your attention, and I would respectfully ask for your support.
Thank you, Senator. We do have a first by Assemblymember Friedman and a second by Assemblymember Aguiar-Curry. I think I want to start off by thanking each and every one of you who took the time to show up. It's not often that we have this kind of support for something, and it needs to be acknowledged that you stood up for what you believe in and believe in this author, and that I commend you. We need more people like you that come up here and are engaged, and thank you. And thank you, Senator. You've been a champion, and I want to thank you for this measure, and this will give a lot of recognition to the people that are lacking, and I will be wholeheartedly supporting your bill today. Madam Secretary, please call the roll.
The motion is due passed and re-referred to the Assembly Appropriations Committee. Frazier?
Aye.
Frazier, aye. Fong? No. Fong, no. Aguiar-Curry?
Aye.
Aguiar-Curry, aye. Baker? Aye. Baker, aye. Berman? Aye. Berman, aye. Bocanegra? Chu? Aye. Chu, aye. Daly? Friedman?
Aye.
Friedman, aye. Harper? No. Harper, no. Mathis? Mathis, no. Medina? Aye. Medina, aye. Nazarian? O'Donnell? Aye. O'Donnell, aye.